Part of what I'm fixing in my Mandalorian movie saga, The Way of Mandalore, is adding some authentic Mandoa language and Mandalorian culture back into the show.
This is what resulted.
Tionad, Gatish.
Iverkopa bid. Gartah likroganar.
Olarortimi.
Naish. Nedrar demari bichtabe charge la venni ganar kirik sheps. Ne morut manda yaim. Naven kotep kirait shade.
Now you can see I have them speak some basic and some Mandoa. I'm not like revoicing the entire show to be exclusively Mandalorian language, but they go back and forth like Karen Travis did in the novels and like a regular bilingual person would do. I think it adds almost like a sovereignty into this culture that for this Death Watch that is like really obsessed with the ancient ways. And I get it, Disney doesn't care about the EU and everything that was already established in there, so I'm not even sure if Mandoa exists in Disney canon, but it exists in my heart and my mind because I grew up reading it. And that's what Mandalorians were to me. So when I watch this newer stuff from Disney, it feels like it's missing something. So I'm fixing a lot of that. Give you just a demo of a conversation right there, and I, intersperse it with English and basic back and forth depending on who's speaking, who else is in the room. This isn't just like just doing it just to do it. I'm doing it to try to improve the overall quality of my films. And I actually think that the reactions of Grief Karga and Cara Dune fit really well right there because they look like they're not really sure what's going on. And it's better because they don't actually understand the language. So much so where he like draws his blaster as he's following behind the armor, which it works really well when she's saying things he doesn't understand, and he's watching her push away a cart full of corpses essentially. I don't understand this new Hollywood trend of feeling like you have to make up all your own stuff brand new. You have a proven track record of stories that people love. Just go back, look at people's reactions, look at how people still feel about some of those old stories, and say, people love this. Why don't we do it and do it faithfully just like this? Because they've already told me they love how it was, so why should we change it? Pride, I think, is the number one thing that's getting in the way with that. So anyhow, on this scene, though, what she says is it's not cinematic. It doesn't really add the depth story-wise that we're looking for. It's like serving a Nerf herder steak when you could be offering a prime cut of a Gundark rib. This current canon scene just gives us a simplified, almost childish version of this Mandalorian Jedi history. Sorcerers, ancient enemy. It's all broad strokes, like they're obviously afraid to actually establish any lore here. And as a video editor and storyteller, I just see these missed opportunities for depth, for the subtext, and a real dramatic weight to these events. It's like they're afraid to trust the audience with any kind of complexity. What am I going to do? I am going to inject some narrative steroids right into this scene. Forget these vague references of sorcerers. No, come on, we need names. Give me names. Names that resonate with the fans. Names that make sense for the millennia of Mandalorian history that we already know about. We need to go deep. That's what makes Star Wars just unlike anything else ever. Nothing has come close to the depth of lore that Star Wars had through the EU, and that's why Star Wars was relevant for so many decades, and it's losing that. Let's get specific. Let's actually add to the universe. Let's build up this new canon. If that's what you, as Disney, still want to stick with, make it deep. Make it feel like it used to. Make it so people can generate these lifelong memories of these events in Star Wars history. Say something real. Mention the Mandalorian Wars. Talk about Mandalore the Ultimate, Mandalore the Indomitable. Say that was the foundational conflict that shaped this Mandalorian Jedi animosity that she's trying to reference here. That's the war. Those are the events that she's vaguely referencing, but it's like she's afraid to say the words, and it feels off to the audience. So let's reimagine the Armorer's dialogue here. Let's make it richer. Let's make it more cinematic instead of these vague pronouncements of nebulous things that occurred. She speaks as this ancient storyteller who is orally keeping this history alive and passing it down to a new generation through Din and then through him to Grogu. She needs to speak with the weight of almost an inherited trauma. Like she grew up as a child hearing about these Mandalorian Wars and how Revan slaughtered them, but they respected him so much for it. The Mandalorian missed out on the chance to really expand the Star Wars universe here. So let's fix it. Let me show you what I cooked up here, and you can tell me what you think is better.
It looks helpless.
It's injured, but it is not helpless. Its species can move objects with its mind.
The ancient chronicles tell of battles sung since the Great Sith War, when Mandalore the Indomitable clashed with the Jedi Order at Ulic Qel-Droma's command. Our ancestors stood against the Jedi again in Revan's Mandalorian Wars.
So, it is an enemy?
Their kind were our greatest foes. But this one is not.
What is it?
It is a foundling, and by creed, it is in your care. Tiongar Kartailir Garbaslan Armandoat.
What, you wish me to train this thing?
You have no choice. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine. Mandoat Rarbaslan Ardigu.
You expect me to search the galaxy for the home of this creature and deliver it to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
Can you feel the difference with that? She's not just referencing these vague events, she's actually teaching Din a lesson. And it's the good kind of Easter egg. It's a good kind of fan service. This is the type of stuff we want to see. We don't just want random cameos. We want this connective tissue to what we grew up loving. Look, The Mandalorian, as is, on Disney Plus, it's good, but there are certain things that separate good shows from great shows. And I hope all of my edits throughout all 3 seasons in the Book of Boba Fett can start to get into that conversation of, yeah, this went from like an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10. That's my goal with this series. So let me know what you think in the comments. What other EU Mandalorian lore would you have liked to see in the Mandalorian show? Let me know. I can probably make it happen. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more scene edits coming up soon.